Hi, and welcome to the Mentor Maya 7 channel. My name is Margaret Tambe. If you're here for the very first time, you're very welcome. Today is going to be our last episode on the A-RAD book club activities. After that, we'll just wait until we carry on further activities, then we'll get to the A-RAD section once more. So today I'm going to do a review of our activities and what I learned as opposed to what I was expecting when I was going to run this book club. The very first thing we are going to discuss today is going to be about the structure of the activities. By the way, if you haven't seen the video on why I started the A-RAD book club activities, look through the list of my videos and you'll see that, and it's going to give you a good foundation of what I'm discussing today. So the structure of our activities, we started daily from Tuesday right through Friday at 10 o'clock every day, 10 right up to 2 o'clock, even though some days we had an overspill of time. We went right up to 3 p.m. Because the children either didn't want to go home yet or we got carried away by the games. That is including myself. We got carried away by the games and we stayed right up to 3 p.m. sometimes. Now, what did the structure of our activities look like? In the morning when they came in, sometimes they came pretty early, sometimes even before 9 o'clock. We had students start coming, and we actually had to beg them to come on time to give us enough time to get ready for the day. So now they came at 10 a.m. We had a prayer, an opening prayer done by any of us or any people. It didn't matter. Some of them in kindergarten prayed for us to start our day. And then after that, we said the African Creed together. You can watch the videos I have on that as well. We said the African Creed together with much confidence. And then some of them wanted the challenge to say it on their own, which they did very well because a lot of them, with very few misses or mispronunciations, they had memorized it within the first 2 weeks. Now, after that, we had reading circles from the upper group, which was like class 5 upwards, and the lower group, which was class 5 downwards to kindergarten. So we would have the African Creed, which we said as a group. We'll have the reading circle, we'll have the reading circle. I have a call and I got a little distracted. So we'll have the reading circle, and the purpose of the reading circle was to build confidence in public speaking. You know, when you're speaking in public or you're reading in public, it's a whole different ball game as opposed to doing that alone. Now, what we did was for the upper circles, we had this upper circle, we had stories that were like 10-minute stories, and we'll break these stories down in 4 pages, 3 to 4 pages each. And one person will start with the title and read their pages and then pass it to the next person right up to the last person. The lower group had easier and shorter stories. Now, this went very well. After that, we would have individual reading for the upper classes, and for the children, class 4 downwards, we would have phonics, word building, and sounds. I had a wonderful teacher, one of my, I would call her junior sister, Melvis. She is a wonderful primary school teacher. She came from Douala. She gave me some of her time, came to assist me in the first 2 weeks. And she did a wonderful and incredible job with these children. Now would have word building, phonics, even through games and colorful cards, alphabet cards, pictures, and things like that. After which we would get now, with the upper group, we had other activities like create a story, which we did with cards. We would have other activities that had to do still with words. It was learning, but learning through play, like crossword puzzles, they also had not just the simple crossword puzzles with the answers, but the complicated ones where the question, the number gives you a question, so you have to answer the question to be able to even fill out the space. So we also had those and other activities which I'll get into. Now, when the children would have gotten to a point where we think they have done enough learning for the day, we would get into play. And the play was also a lot educative and a few of them entertaining. But for the entertaining plays, we kept them right up to the end of the day, because once they start getting entertained, they got rowdy. And once they were so hyped up, there is no way we could go back to learning. So we kept those for the end of the day. Now, let's talk about the activities. What type of activities did we have? I just thought of a few of them here. We had the read aloud. We had individual reading. And with the read aloud, first of all, we started. The greatest challenge with the read aloud was we had two challenges. The first was word pronunciations. Once a word was up to 5-6 letters, a lot of them baffled with it. And then once a word, and then they also had the challenge of speaking out loud, because, and this would apply even to the individual reading times, because the habit of reading was not there. The reading, they were counting words, how we can say it, somebody's counting words. And they also had a lot of them, not all, there were some exceptions that I'll talk about. A lot of them were reading with their fingers, like they would trace a line with their fingers and go word for word for word for word. Now, because they're straining, they're looking down and following, squinting to read, it made it difficult for the stories to flow, and it made it difficult for their words, their voice to come out wholly. So we had the read aloud, we had individual reading, which was also not very easy because they did not read quietly. It's difficult to have a place that is tight in space, like you're sitting right almost on your neighbor's lap, and then they are reading aloud, not loud like they're screaming, but they're reading like daily structural activities, read aloud, individual reading. So that is a distraction. And when the next person is getting distracted, the person too would start to read that way to be able to focus. And I understood, even though I pointed that out a few times, I understood it's because they were not acquainted to reading. So this was a method for most of them. They were trying to zoom their minds in and to focus on what they were reading. So I told them, I said, okay, we'll take it, we'll work with that, and then we'll build on that so that we should get to a point where we're able to shut our minds off and to focus on the storyline. However, I would just comment before I forget that it was amazing to me that even in reading in that condition, in that environment, most of them could tell you the story, what they read about, which to me that was amazing because the environment was not too conducive. Now, we also had crossword puzzles, which I mentioned already. We had games like Find the Differences, 10, 11 differences between two pictures. We had those games. We had tracing and coloring. First of all, tracing, like you have 12 snakes, and you have 12 tails, and it's all jumbled up. You have to trace which head has which tail. We had those type of games. Or for the lower group, we had the easier ones where there is a sheep or a goat at this end, and the mother and sibling is at the other end. You have to find a path for that goat to get to the mother. We have those. And then we had rubric cubes. We had puzzles. We had 3 different types of puzzles. We had the wooden puzzles, which were the easiest. We had the cardboard puzzles. Unfortunately, I had bought some puzzles here of 1,000 pieces, 1,200. Somehow I forgot them here. I actually took the boxes to Cameroon, and I discovered that I left the pieces here because I had tied the pieces in different plastic bags so that they don't get mixed up. So I forgot those here. And then we had plastic puzzle pieces. Those were so challenging. During that whole time, it's like 1 or 2 people got it right. The rest could not complete. And it's just little cubes like this, but they were really challenging to do, which the more challenging it is, the happier I got. Yeah, and I would dance and they would be like, Madam, you need to stop dancing. But I loved the challenge. Now we had also Scrabble game. Scrabble was a little not as good as I had expected because the vocabulary level was low. To play Scrabble, it's good for somebody to have a good vocabulary list. Now, when you look at the Scrabble board and the only thing you can see there is an, wind, water, sky, blue, nothing else that is really interesting. To even have those ones is challenging because you know how you pick your seats. It's not guaranteed that you're going to have an easy word out of it. But then it's just something that we'll have to work on and build our vocabulary with time. So I was patient with them. A few of them didn't get it right up to the end. They didn't get the essence of it. They kept trying to switch seats, or one person is playing and the whole group has to help them come up with a word, or they didn't understand the fact that one word had to be linked to another. But eventually we would get there. I'm hopeful. At least it was a good start. We have started. It can only get better. Now we also had spelling. The spelling was rough, 50-50. Some of them could spell very well, and those that could not spell well just could not spell well. It was rough. And we had Build a Story that we played. Build a Story was like we have cards with destinations, people's names, cultures, articles, items, stuff like that, and everybody has to build their story depending on their card and link it to the previous person's story. So it needed concentration, it needed creativity, and most times my students were trying instead to collaborate, like they'll say, show me your picture, and they try to build a story like that. I still allowed it because it still had creativity in that, but then the only downside of this game was that when one person was talking, a lot of the other people were not listening. So I would have to constantly be like, you need to listen. There's no way you're going to build a good part of your story if you did not listen to the other person's story and to know how to fit yours in it. So we had that. We had many other games, tiny boxes where it needed focus, it needed concentration to put pebbles into their holes, like iron pebbles into their holes. We had many other little games. We had bingo for the lower group. We had alphabet bingo, which they played and they liked. So that is inexhaustive. There are other games that I don't even know the names of the games, but we played them and we had much fun. Now, when I was going, what was I expecting? The third part. What was I expecting? I was expecting, the first thing I would say is, before I went, I was advertising to do a spelling bee. I was advertising to do a competition of know your Africa, African knowledge, like flags, maps, presidents' names, economic sources of different African countries, cash crops and things like that, lifestyle, language. Nobody signed up for them, but after running the group, I am happy nobody did, because the spelling bee would have been catastrophe, would have been a catastrophe. Why? Because the vocabulary of my pupils representing the other children of Cameroon I did not meet was very low, as I've said already. Their spelling, most of them, was not good. Also, we had a drawing competition, and one lady, very intelligent, she's actually 8 years old, but she had to be with the upper group because she was sharp. Now, she was asked to draw the African map, and she drew it. It looked something like a flower. You know, she said she had never seen the African map before. I'm like, okay, good. People did not sign up for the African Know Your Africa challenge, you know. Good, they didn't even sign up for the Scrabble, because now I know that the foundation has been laid. But that is about it. We'll have to build on that before we can get to the point of doing competitions. Then another thing I was expecting was a challenge to be able to teach them and for them to accept correction. I was greatly mistaken on that point. A lot of them, the bigger girls, the young ones, they took corrections very well. During read aloud, they would say a wrong word and would gladly accept to be corrected. So that was a pleasant surprise, and they would take your correction and run with it. Now, another thing, what did I expect? I expected them not to be excited about reading. When I bought those games, an assortment of games, I thought we'll play a game and then read for 15 minutes and then play another game as a way of keeping them. To my greatest surprise, the reading was the bomb. The reading was the bomb. They came looking forward to read. And every time I would say, it's time to get your books, there would be a shout in my apartment like, yay! They would run to the table of books with excitement and get their books to read. That was a big surprise. And even the lower group, I had some children, class 3 and 4, who could read. At the middle of, like, after 2 weeks, I had seen their capacity, and I started sorting out the books for them to read. They were always excited about it. The younger ones were begging to read, but they didn't even know their sounds very well. So I told them, I said, no, we have to build up we have to do word building with you. 1, 2, 3, 4 letter words building, alphabet building, and then you can get to reading. So I didn't expect that excitement for reading, but they were very excited. Now, as of performance, we had 2 children there. One of them, the grandmother, is a high school teacher, a secondary school teacher. And then there is another high school teacher who had 3 children in that group. And then there is another primary school teacher that had 1 grandchild in that group. It is surprising, or maybe not surprising, but surprising that their children could read very well, extremely well, beyond grade level. And these children took challenges. They were at the forefront of every group you put them in. Now, why do I say it's surprising? Because it's the same teachers that teach our children in school. So I was thinking, if their children can be this good, then that should be a measuring rod for every other child in Cameroon. So until now, I'm trying to digest that. What is making the difference? Why are their children excelling? Why are their children so good? Shouldn't this be reflective of every other child they teach? You know, that is a question that I will not answer for today, but it's giving me food for thought, and I hope it's giving you food for thought. Like from the direction of, is it that the other parents are not putting in enough efforts after school hours? Because the fact that these teachers, their children are doing so well, it means these teachers, they know what they're doing. They were well trained, they are skilled, they are professional. Now, what is lagging? Why are the other children lagging behind? So we'll see. We'll talk about that. I even have an interview that I'll upload in a couple of weeks where I talk to 2 teachers and I ask them hard questions. So look forward to that. Now, so basically that is what I found out. The major thing here is that these kids are excited, and as I speak right now, they're waiting for me, they're expecting me, they are longing that I could come back and let's continue. Most of them even wanted the book club to be active during school time and things like that. So that is the huge positive, and it gives me fire for the future. It makes me extra motivated for the future. Now, lastly, what are the future plans? I'm hoping, because it was very challenging, the space right now, next time I will not try to do this in my apartment again, because by the last week, we had some children sitting on the floor. Like all of the chairs had been taken. Some of the plastic chairs were even doubled for the upper classes to sit in. There was no table space left, and some children were happily sitting on the floor, which broke my heart. And then I was like, and they bring friends, and from the number of people that have asked about it after we ended, and know that if I do that next time in that apartment, there would be no space for anything. It would be jam-packed. Even if we're standing, the space is still going to be small. So for the future, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to have like a school compound that is closed for the summer holidays. We're going to have a school. Somebody would be kind. Somebody on the ground would be kind to negotiate a school compound for us, where we'll be able to accurately divide the groups as they're supposed to be, and in separate classrooms. And then I think things will go even better than they did this time. Secondly, I'm hoping that we'll be able to have some volunteer teachers. We were 3 at the start, and then one person, the teacher that came to help me from Douala, went back. She had holiday classes to teach. Now we were left with 2 people. It was very challenging because between times we had to run to do photocopies. Between times we needed somebody to arrange for snacks for the children. Between times somebody needed to use the bathroom. Somebody needed to drink water. It was a lot of things that we needed somebody to run around for, and we didn't have anybody to help us with that. Also, we were really short on teachers. Like if we're going to divide these children into 3-4 groups, then we should have a minimum of 3 and 4 people to run the groups, the activities for these kids. So that is the next step. There is bigger plans ahead, which I'm not ready to discuss at this point. But for the next time, these are the two greatest needs we have. Of course, we do need more games. We need more challenging puzzle, especially the cardboard puzzles, 1,000 pieces, 700 pieces, and things like that. We need more variety of games. And photocopying too was extremely expensive. In a day, I spent about 3,000 francs. You know, with the inflation in Cameroon, to spend an amount of 3,000 just to do photocopies, photocopying was very expensive. If we can have somebody with a photocopy machine at home and with ink, that would be great help. Or until we get ours, because eventually, come rain, come sun, we're going to have a photocopy machine of our own to cut down the cost. So basically, that is it. That is our hope of the future. There is no stopping. We're not going to stop. We have started by the grace of God, and we're going to forge on. African children deserve better. They deserve as much as any other child that is breathing under the skies. So thank you. Come with us on this journey. Every input is valuable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, get many people on board as we go forward. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time.